It's game week in Atlanta, which means it's time to talk all things Georgia Tech on the Coach Brent Key Show, driven by Hyundai.
The snap, fakes the toss, looking up the middle, he surges in for the touchdown.
We'll hear from Georgia Tech football head coach Brent Key as we gear up for another week of Georgia Tech football on the Georgia Tech Sports Network from Legend Sports.
Ball comes out at the end of the play. Jackets say they've fallen on it. Jackets have it.
Now here's the voice of the Jackets, Andy Demetra.
And a very good Thursday evening to you. Happy homecoming, Jackets. And for the first time in 16 years Saturday, you will see your Yellow Jackets pour out behind the wreck as a top 10 team. 7-0 on the year, number 7 in the nation. They'll try to keep that record intact. Their home win streak intact. Their ACC win streak intact. For a homecoming showdown at high noon at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field versus the 3-4 Syracuse Orange. This on the heels of another Saturday that was not light on suspense, but the Jackets got the job done in Durham with a 27-18 win over previous ACC unbeaten Duke. We'll break down that matchup, detail what's ahead with the Orange coming to town, and we'll do so over the next 60 minutes on another edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. Once again, we are live tonight up on the rooftop at New Realm Brewing Company on the east side beltline of Atlanta. I'm Andy Demetra. And to my left, the man who's got the thesaurus all thumbed through, ready to keep me on my toes, your head coach, Brent Key. Brent, good to visit with you again. How are you?
Well, that was very benevolent of you.
That's maybe not the perfect application.
Hey, it says kind.
Well, very good. Gracious. I appreciate that.
Gregarious, those are easy.
I've been called worse.
I'm done. I'm going back to my
caveman
my
words.
Alabama vocabulary.
There you go. I don't want to know what words Georgia Tech fans might have been muttering to themselves there in the end of the fourth quarter or in the second half in general against Duke. You said afterwards in Durham, your team has got to stop doing this to you. And I know that might be a sentiment echoed by a lot of fans. However, you got the job done, and that was not a win to be taken lightly because Duke was playing really well coming in. They've been averaging 42 points across their 3 ACC games. You go out, you hold them to less than half that. 27-18. You score the first 17 points of the fourth quarter, and as a result, you guys are 4-0 for the first time in the ACC since you were on the field in 1998. It wasn't as sharp a start as you maybe would have liked, but this team refuses to get rattled again. What did that type of performance say about your team?
Well, first off, hopefully whatever they were saying in the fourth quarter was a lot kinder than what I was saying in the first half. So that was not kind. But no, it continues to confirm what I've thought all along about these guys. They're a special group of kids, and you think that you don't know it. You think that as you're going through the off season and winter conditioning and then through spring practice and when we come out of that first game and kind of had the adversity hit us right away and to see how they stayed resilient and the grit that they showed, and you hope that was something that we can continue to build on, and and it has. It's something that these kids are tough, but that's who we are. That's Georgia Tech.
What was the biggest adjustment defensively for you guys in that second half? I guess I need to ask Blake Gideon about that.
No, look.
Because they were moving up and down the field on you in the first half, and Duke's got a very proficient offense. Darren Mentz is a terrific quarterback, but you kept that in check, it seemed, to the second half.
Yeah, without getting into all the details of it, I mean, we made some adjustments up front, made some adjustments with how we were playing the front and some of the blitzes we were bringing, and really not blitzes, but just kind of the single man pressures. And we've simplified some things defensively too, to allow our guys, some of the young guys, to be able to play. And we still got a long way to go. And that's the best thing you can probably say right now this time of year is that you still have a long ways to go, because you definitely don't want to peak too early, and we've definitely not peaked. We ain't even played a complete full game yet, and so it's exciting to be able to go back to the drawing board every Sunday, and be able to tell the guys that, and be able to look and say, hey, look guys, look how much meat's left on the bone right here. We have so much we can do to get better this week at whatever it is, week 7, week 8, week 9 of the season.
When you're 7-0, the spotlight grows, the attention increases, the pressure mounts, but to that point, how much do you take confidence in knowing your team is still too focused on improving every week and making sure next Saturday is a better version of who they were the previous Saturday to get swept up in that outside noise? They're still so focused on what we need to do to get better.
It sounds so simple to say, but I trust them, and they trust what I say to them. And that's a pretty cool relationship that you have with a team, and they trust each other. They enjoy playing with each other. But I walked in on Sunday and I told them that, really had 3 things that I wanted to make sure they understood, and within that was, look, teams die from the inside out, not the outside in. Number 2 was we can get beat. And I mean, how many head coaches stand in front of their team and say that? Like, we can get beat, but it's the truth, and we're very transparent. We're very truthful. And I said, this time of year, right, we have to improve. Right, you either get better or you get worse this time of year. You don't stay the same. Right, and it's hard. It is hard to dig down deep and to improve when you get to this point of the season. Right, well, how do you do it? Well, you take better notes. You ask more questions. Right, you're more focused in walkthrough. All right, you add more times on your own watching film, your film studies, all those things. There was 10, 12 things we listed out that they can do. And whenever I tell the team this, it starts with me. It's things I can do better. All right, things the coaches can do better, things the players can do better. All right, because as a leader, if you don't stand in front and take it by the horns and say, this is something I have to do, all right, they're not going to. Why would they ever do it? So it's collective. It's the coaches, it's players, it's staff, it's everybody.
Yeah, everybody's safeguarding against complacency. I mean, you've been that unranked team who's delivered some upsets over ranked teams the last couple of years, and now that you're ranked, you kind of know that every team is demanding of your respect. You said that Duke game was the best run stopping you had done all season. Duke, 68 rushing yards net. You held them to 2.13 yards a carry, and you get so wrapped up in Darian Mensah, it may obscure the fact they had really been gotten things rolling on the ground coming in. Why do you think that the film backed up the stats in your mind, and that was top to bottom your best run defensive performance of the year?
I thought the defensive line did a really good job of resetting the line of scrimmage, right? Playing on that side of the line, playing with great pad level, using their hands, and then they got off of blocks. All right, they pitched a fit to get up there and get off the block and make a play. But it wasn't just get off a block and now you bust a gap that you're supposed to be in. Everybody understood, and we've got to continue to do this. All right, you have a job to do. All right, do your job. All right, if you want to make plays, all right, the plays will come to you, especially defensively. All right, you start trying to make a play, and now you shut a guy and you go this way, and now it spits. He makes one cut and it spits the other way. All right, you have to do your job first, and I thought they're really buying into that. They did that, and I thought the defensive line did a really good job. JJ, I think, played his best game of the year. Had that huge sequence of plays down in the red zone on the goal line. Somebody I want to bring up that I thought did a really good job, and I saw a lot of improvement out of in that game was Shameik. And I really, we've been waiting for that light to come on and for him to go, and man, it was cool to see him in there and doing some good things. Yeah, your redshirt freshman Shameik Jones from Camden, South Carolina, part of that defensive line rotation, and also Jai Gilmore was named ACC Defensive Back of the Week. The transfer from Georgia State, you listed him as questionable on the injury report today. He is and got banged up in that Duke game, but boy, what a game it was. 11 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, a half sack, 2 pass breakups on a day where you were facing a Duke team that was 9th in the nation in passing offense, and you're doing that without Amari Harvey, and he was all over the field. What did Jai execute so well to make an impact like that? Yeah, well, if you remember, talking about what we had to do in the game, we had to stop the run, right, and we had to affect the quarterback. And affecting the quarterback didn't mean necessarily just always with pass rush. It was being able to change up looks on the back end, all right, make him antsy in the pocket, and really the 2 key things, the musts that we have each week. Of those things defensively, we accomplished both. Yeah, Jai Gilmore, he was tremendous, and it was a total team effort to get that win. Georgia Tech's 4th in a row over Duke, now 7-0, and for the first time, Georgia Tech has won its first 7 games to begin a season since 1966. Coach, you were in the company of Bobby Dodd. He was the last head coach at Georgia Tech to start a season 7-0, and as you know, they got a statue of Bobby Dodd outside of Bobby Dodd Stadium, and his name's on the building as well. So that's pretty good company for you, I'd say. Only as good as your last game. And you know what's better than 7-0? 8-0, and that is the task for Georgia Tech this Saturday as they take on the Syracuse Orange. Will hit our first time out. Great crowd today up on the rooftop of New Realm Brewing on a homecoming edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. We'll hit our first time out. Much more to get to after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
There's no better source on Georgia Tech football than our team of Yellow Jacket insiders. This is the Coach Brent Key Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
As we continue to count you down to homecoming Saturday at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field, 12 o'clock. Tome Eastleather, your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, number 7 in the nation versus the Syracuse Orange. They'll be coming in looking to snap a 3-game losing skid. Georgia Tech will be looking to avenge a loss to the Orange from last season and move to 8-0. I'm Andy Demetra. He's Brent Key. Brent, I noted that your team's 7-0. First time Georgia Tech has started the season 7-0 since 1966. Now, no slight to the 1990 team, but they also had that tie with North Carolina mixed in. They were 7-0-1. Also in that 1966 season, Georgia Tech's third win that year was at home versus Clemson. They moved to 7-0 with a win at Duke. This year, your third win at home versus Clemson. And your 7th win was at Duke. So I think the universe is sending you some signs. And oh, by the way, 1966, their starting quarterback was also a King in Kim King. So universe is working hard, writing the script this year.
You know that has nothing to do with Saturday.
Absolutely not, but we got airtime to fill.
There's more than that.
And I've got a lot of research that I got to plow through here to get to a game
Don't get
day.
complacent. 7-0 doesn't mean anything for this week.
Right.
Oh, but 1966.
Well,
I mean, that has something to do with it.
Journalistic duty compels me sometimes to drop in these notes.
That was cool though. The King thing.
Yeah.
Because Kim is somebody that I looked up to for so long, so many years, and did so many great things for Georgia Tech as a player and as an ambassador to the school, and now Haynes. Two Kings.
Absolutely, the young left-hander. We got a homecoming King, perhaps, on Saturday in Haynes King. We do know Haynes was ACC quarterback. Why are you smirking at me like that? Yeah, that's right. That is a capital S segue straight out of J school right there, Brent. Yes.
No,
You're
go ahead.
going to write something down
No.
while I tee up my next point. Haynes King, ACC quarterback of the week, 6th time in his career. Just another day at the office for Haynes, 200-plus passing yards, 120 rushing yards, and maybe the most reluctant touchdown run you will ever see as he took it 26 yards to make it 27-10. And you had mentioned this at your press conference on Tuesday. Just incredible awareness of Haynes King on that run to decelerate, look toward the sideline, and check with you guys to know whether he should warn it all the way in or go down, force Manny Diaz to use his final timeout. Just very few QBs will have the IQ and the presence of mind in that moment to look over to the sideline to confirm whether he should go in for the score or not. But just Haynes King, the way he orchestrated that offense, what'd you like out of Haynes' day?
So back to that play. That's the second time this year now that we've popped a play in a 4-minute scenario, 4-minute offense, and neither one of them were crystal clear. All right, if you look at the analytics books and all the stats and what you study going into the games, that is like a 50-50 decision. Like if it was swayed one way or the other way, well, yeah, Haynes knows all that. He knows when to take a knee. When we call it no moss, and he knows when you're in a no moss situation, and then you can make them burn their timeout. But we're sitting there at 2:22, 2:18. All right, so they still had the 2-minute timeout left. They still had one timeout. All right, a field goal doesn't do anything to help you there. All right, it's still a 2-score game with kicking a field goal. So, all right, then this is all happening within about 3.5 seconds. There are these things going on. He turns around, he looks, and go score. But just the selflessness that kid has to be able to, give up something for himself for the success of the football team, man, it's awesome to see.
He's tied for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback right now with 10. That's also tied for 3rd nationally. He's tied for 5th in school history in rushing touchdowns with your former teammate Joe Burns. He's got 31 and really helped with that turnaround offensively in the second half. Now, I know you had limited possessions in that first half, but you go from 110 yards of offense first half versus Duke to 266, and save for that final kneel down. You score on every single offensive possession after halftime. What was Buster able to iron out to get that offense rolling?
Yeah, I mean, look, we just had to execute. The plays were there in the first half. Didn't that coach speak? Hey, just execute, just do your job. No, we tweaked a couple things at halftime. Throw a little more to run as opposed to run to throw. But our guys, they were sustaining better, finishing with a body on a body. I told them at halftime, I said, look, if there's one thing I know about this team, there's one thing I trust about this football team, is that y'all know how to finish a fight. Let's go do it.
And they certainly finished the fight. against Duke to move to 7-0. Your tight ends have been in the middle of a pass-catching spree. Last 3 games, they've combined for 11 catches for an average of 20.7 yards a pop. So it's not just your speedsters, your slot guys that are getting vertical and giving you explosive plays. Your tight ends are showing their hands are for more than just blocking. I know often, and they probably weren't getting as many catches as a group as they would have liked through the first half of your game so far.
Does anybody?
No, of course not. But, you've said it's sometimes how the plays have played out that they're not the primary read or the progression in that moment. But how can they continue to open up the offense like this now that they're establishing themselves as a threat? Yeah,
I mean, look, the talent's there. It's how they're utilized. Where the read goes, but there's not a lot of guys going to come here and get 15 catches in a game because we do a good job. Buster does a great job of calling the game, right, to spread the ball around, right, to give everybody touches. That's what makes you hard to defend is when you're giving the guys touches and you have to defend sideline to sideline, in-line to in-line, right? But the way people are starting to play is, everybody's in there up, everybody's up to stop the run, right? Then with any pass indicator, I mean, everybody, they're dropping out of there so deep. So one of the things we've studied here, seeing that and seeing how people are starting to play us a little bit on the second and third level, those underneath things have really opened themselves up.
Josh Beetham has had a catch in 3 straight games for a total of 97 yards and had the longest pass completion of the day for you. And Duke, how does he complement the other tight ends in the room, and what has he done to make himself a good target and somebody who, when he does catch it, it's going for lots of yards?
Knock on wood, not. But he's a big target. Right? He has not played tight end his whole life either. I mean, he was a quarterback. He started out college as a quarterback, transferred, was at Michigan. He played on the national championship team there. Right? So he has that mentality. He understands what it takes. He's been a part of a team that's accomplished the highest of all goals, right? So that is a huge plus in itself, right? So, but then the biggest thing is he stayed healthy this year.
Yeah,
he's been healthy, and that's what it takes. I mean, player availability is the greatest commodity out there right now.
Simple as that sometimes. Josh is 2.5 handicap in golf. He told me that too. Very quick to volunteer that, I might add.
Yeah. I would too. You should see these guys now, like.
They might have the most personality per capita of any position group on your team. The tight ends? No? You think there's another position group that's got them? O-linemen? You're probably partial to the O-line. They always have a good camaraderie.
Specialist.
Oh, yeah.
Specialist.
They've got some eccentricities.
They're football players. I don't know what eccentricity is, but.
I was going to say idiosyncrasy, but okay,
that
too.
You used that last week.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
We're at that time of the year where we are recycling some material.
Yeah,
they cut me some slack.
Yeah, so they're good. They're good words.
Yeah, good words.
Good big words.
What is the good word? Nice work there, setting me up. You count 6
weeks.
Okay.
No, I ain't talking about anything. Come on, you ain't getting me off this.
You're lucky we're coming up on a break. We will do that. We'll continue the conversation. It's been a great Thursday night, and it will continue here at New Realm Brewing on the East Side Beltline. It's the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. We are back after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
Continues to buzz. Now more of the Coach Brent Key Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
We are back at New Realm Brewing on the East Side Beltline. We will be back at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field this Saturday for homecoming. Your number 7 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the 3 and 4 Syracuse Orange. Our network airtime 10 o'clock. Toby's Leather at noon, folks. Make sure you get out early because of the traffic closures for homecoming and the rec parade and the cake race and everything else that's going on around campus. Spare yourself the frustration. Make sure you get out and join us bright and early because it is going to be another great Saturday on the flats for your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets taking on Syracuse with a chance to move to 5-0 in the ACC. I'm Andy Demetra. He's Brent Key. You know what? We were just talking about the tight ends before we went to break, and I think one of your former tight ends, Tech Man, his dad here with you tonight?
Yeah. He's some family members here.
There we go.
Dylan Leonard, Dylan's dad, and where'd Kate go?
Okay.
He's over there somewhere. So
there we go.
No,
Dylan Leonard, one of your first recruits, if I'm not mistaken, when you came back.
So we don't have enough time to tell the whole story about that one, but yes, he was my first recruit. from out of Milton, and what was he, 198 or 205 pounds or something? Yeah,
I believe we call that in recruiting a projectable frame.
Nah, but just when you sit down and you talk to people, and I remember the night me and you talked on the phone and talked through the whole situation scenario, and I said, hey, just trust me on this, and we did. We trust each other, and Dylan's one of those ones that he'll be a friend of mine, and we'll be friends for 20, 30, 40 years from now.
There's no greater honorific in your mind than calling someone a tech man, and he is a capital T tech man, Dylan Leonard.
If you only knew.
But he helped pave the way for that room that's been really productive for you of late, like we had mentioned. Speaking of other guys who stepped up in the passing game on Saturday, Malik Rutherford went down on the very first play from scrimmage versus Duke. He's listed as questionable for Saturday, but then your freshman, Jordan Allen, steps in, and not one play later, he's catching a slant from Haynes King for first down yardage. He finishes with another catch, 20 yards on the day. True freshman, obviously the moment was not too big for him, and we all remember that long completion he had in the Gardner-Webb game. Jordan Allen, give us an insight into his upside and somebody who might be on that field for more snaps here with the way he's performing.
Yeah, so he's one of, not the fastest guys on the team, and we keep going back to that. Was that, you said it was Gardner-Webb?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. And he catches that little screen at the end of the game and takes off and gets run down and caught. And I'm like, you're like the fastest guy on the team, man. Like all of a sudden now you get in a game and you slow up. So I think he's valid if that situation ever comes again to not get caught. So
yeah, now part of that very balanced receiving core that Haynes King has been spreading it to. I love that Duke had two offensive possessions in that game where they were at the 1 yard line, and in those two possessions you outscored the Blue Devils 7-3. Because of the fumble recovery for a touchdown by Omar Daniels, 95 yards. That's a Georgia Tech school record that got you on the board. And then as Duke was driving, trying to pull back level or move ahead with a touchdown, you had a couple of goal line stands that forced them into that chip shot field goal. And I want to sort of focus the lens on that last drive where you stopped Duke at the goal line. And what did Jess's guys do up front to really get after it, plug the gaps? Duke was just trying to pound that in, but you guys did not let them.
Yeah, I mean, we lined up. We were playing in a bear front and had everybody covered down. And I think it was the first play. Matt Alexander made a great play. Just as far as they were coming off the ball. They weren't sitting there waiting or reacting. They were dictating what was going to happen. They used their hands well, got extension, was able to find the ball, shed the blocker, and finish. And then he made a play. Shamik made a play.
I think John Gilmore made a couple of
he did,
stops as well.
But really, that all starts with the D line being able to keep those those blockers off of them, and now the ball starts to bounce or spit. And when you're down there, when you got a yard to go or 2 yards to go, and it starts to spit, now the troops rally. Then JJ on the third one, I mean, he took the poor center and basically put him into the exchange point of the quarterback and running back. Just great job of those guys. Just the your back's against the wall. Look, I think I said it earlier today on something. All right, you talk. What is the definition of a tech person, a tech man or a tech person? Tell us we can't. Tell us we can't. We will.
Yeah.
So put us on that 1 yard line, and we'll work to we'll get it done.
Tell us you can't. We show you we will. I thought this was interesting, Coach. Duke is number 1 in the nation in rush average in the fourth quarter. They're averaging 7.51 yards a carry in the fourth quarter. Now, you guys are 4th in the nation in rush average and yards per carry in the fourth quarter. But you basically took that element out of Duke with the way you stretched out that lead. Duke only had 2 carries in that fourth quarter for -1 yard. Now, 4th in the nation, yards per carry in the fourth quarter, 6.51. That has to be an indication of freshness to you and the ability to rotate in backs. How have you seen that kind of manifest and play out where the freshness and being able to run multiple guys in that backfield really starting to pay dividends and those body blows start to accumulate on the ground as the game goes on?
Yeah, that was the whole point of the offseason of when we were addressing the roster needs. We couldn't have 1 running back or 2 running backs. You have to carry the load, and then you're in the fourth quarter and they're not fresh. So we addressed our needs there. We increased the depth. We've got some really good players that are still cooking, young guys, and but to be able to get those guys in and keep them fresh, the way we disperse the ball around to everybody, you have to be fresh in the fourth quarter. I mean, if you want to play meaningful games in November, you got to win meaningful games in October, right? And like I said, it's player availability, right? You can't be running on pins and needles and be dead tired. You have to be fresh, and that's the roster. That's increasing your depth. That's what you do. So we still got a long way to go to be where we need to be, but we've come a long way.
Malachi Hosley, I think those legs looked fresh on that spin move he had for the touchdown. That's putting the defender in the blender right there. You probably didn't know Malachi had that move in him, did you? He's more of a straight line, downhill guy, but boy, he had the feet of a ballerina on that run.
Sorry.
Why are you laughing so much?
Stop.
What?
Stop. Yeah, it was weird. I had a weird angle there. And all of a sudden he spins, and I'm like, did he just walk into the end zone? Kind of get a blind spot there where I was at. And then I see it on tape, and I saw he spun and finished in the end zone. He's got great balance and body control. And that's such a huge factor for a running back.
He can also have a tight turn radius as well, as that Duke defender realized. Who else stepped up in the secondary? We noted Jai Gilmore was ACC defensive
I don't remember. I'm getting ready for the next game.
Should I just toss out some names, and then maybe that'll jog your memory? Zachary Toby was around.
Omar
Daniels.
He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
I do remember that. I think you guys remember that as well. That'll be now number one in the record books. And fumbles were not an official NCAA statistic until 1992. So when we say longest fumble recovery in school history, it's from 1992 on. Previous record was Damari Walden. Before that, it was your old teammate Kofi Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was on senior day.
Against Wake Forest.
That was on senior day, his senior year.
I think that 1998
team
still has the
7
school
in
record.
a row.
Yeah, 7 defensive touchdowns that year, which is still...
It was in a row, right? Were they consecutive?
I'm not sure if it was in a row, but that's the most defensive touchdowns Georgia Tech has ever had in a single season. It was 1998, which is also, since you love when I can give you historical notes because you love about things in the past, and that was also the last time Georgia Tech started 4-0 in the ACC.
Yeah, 98, sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, and then that team from Tallahassee came in town.
Well, you don't have to worry about that this year. Unless they want to come out to Dublin, you can do with that again.
Why'd you bring that up? That's like a bad memory for me.
You brought up Florida State in 98.
You brought up
I brought up 4-0
start.
in the ACC. Yeah, I brought up the good stuff.
Well,
That's
how many times have I said that? What do I remember?
Not much. Not as much as you would like.
The bad stuff.
Okay, well then, why are you sidestepping my question on the other guys who played last Saturday who performed well? Omar Daniels, Zachary Toby, Rodney Shelley was out there. I know Rodney.
No, so Rod. I mean, he was the feature of your article last week, right?
That was Chad's in the AJC. Yeah. Thank you for reading, regardless. But
I don't read anything. I just go by what you say.
Rodney, he was picked on a little bit. Cooper Barcade had an unbelievable day, and boy, you talk about one of the top wide receivers in the ACC. That was Cooper Barcade. But to Rodney's credit, he seemed like he never let go of the rope that game, and he was out there in some high leverage moments in the second half, and he did his responsibility and helped the defense a lot.
Yeah, Rod missed several games starting the season with an injury he had, and he worked really hard this offseason. Getting back in the swing of things. It was the most he's played in this year, and hopefully he continues to improve and into this week. I mean, he had a really good week of practice this week, and he was, once you go out there and you play a lot, finally for the season, hopefully good things, continue to come with it.
Amari Harvey going to be out again on Saturday. How's Amari progressed? And you had said last week he dislocated his ankle versus Virginia Tech. Boy, he avoided what could have been a catastrophic injury, and there's still a pathway for Amari to be back before the end of the regular season.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, he's out of his boot, and he's jumping around, and
you believe that
to show people. I mean, he's got a smile on his face. He's way ahead of where we thought he would be. So, I think it was pretty cool how the guys last week, gave all the credit or whatever, but said they were doing it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that just goes back and shows how close these guys are as a team.
And Amari, any injured guy will tell you, and you as coaches probably tell them, you can still make an impact even though you're not in uniform. Just with your attitude and being able to be part of those film sessions and giving some tips on techniques to guys that'll be filling your role. And so Amari, his voice will still matter here before he returns. And you said that this is the most mature Amari Harvey that you've gotten out of him since he came to Tech.
Yeah, that is one of the the things about being a football coach that I love. It's one of the reasons I do this is to see kids develop, to see kids mature, to see kids become, better versions of themselves, and then once they're done in the program, they become better in life because of going through your program. It's irreplaceable.
Yeah. Now, Mari, but we certainly look forward to seeing him back soon, but the defensive secondary certainly paid him a good tribute on Saturday, and they'll look to do so again this weekend versus Syracuse, a team that has been responsible for 10 interceptions, and we'll see if Georgia Tech can ball hawk a little more against the Orange because Syracuse has committed the most turnovers in the ACC. Time to hit another timeout. We are once again live from New Realm Brewing, East Side Beltline of Atlanta. Is the Brent Key Coaches Show driven by Hyundai. We're back after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
The latest on Yellow Jackets football. It's the Coach Brent Key Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. We will see you on Saturday at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field, 12 o'clock. Toby's Leather, your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, number 7 in the country at 7-0 and 4-0 in the ACC, battling the 3-4 Syracuse Orange. They're 1-3 in conference play, and Georgia Tech's outstanding social media video team just posted the uniform combination for Saturday. Brent, you're gazing at
what are we
right
wearing
now. Gold tops, white pants, white helmets with the gold power tee, the old school power tee on both sides.
That looks cool.
Yeah, no, it's been really well received online.
Nice.
Look good, play good. Play good, you win good, and you sleep good as well. As well as a head coach can sleep at this time of year.
I don't care what they wear.
Do you remember your very first game as a college coach? Now, you had said in the program last week you had spent 18 months in commercial real estate, but you hated wearing khakis to work every day, and
maybe it was who I worked. Maybe it was who I worked with. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Tom.
Tom Davenport, ladies and gentlemen. He was your boss all the way back in the day?
Yeah, he was a mentor.
Okay.
He was such a great mentor in real estate that I'm a football coach now.
Well, Tom, I tell you what, thank you for your mentorship because we like having him as a head coach here. So you obviously traded the cubicle for the whistle and you joined George O'Leary's staff as a GA, but do you remember that very first game that you were a part of in your coaching career? That was season 1. You're in season 25 in college coaching right now. Do you remember that first game?
No.
No?
No.
August 26th, 2001.
Oh, it was a GA?
Yeah, it's a GA.
Yeah.
I know George O'Leary wouldn't let you sleep back then.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks prior to September 11th.
But the opponent was the Syracuse Orange.
Yeah. What is that?
I'll just, they're the opponent on Saturday. Here's my question, though. You said you just didn't like wearing khakis, but I'm guessing George O'Leary made you wear khakis for your game day attire as a coach that day.
We were. You kidding me? Every day in the office was khakis.
Oh my gosh.
Khakis, polo tucked in, belt, hard bottom shoes.
So you couldn't escape the khakis.
I don't know.
Though you went back to coaching.
Tom, maybe it was the slacks that Don made me wear. And,
There was
Yes, there you go.
Big difference between slacks and khakis. Yeah.
Hey, no jeans and cowboy boots.
Nope. Yeah, I like the attire now. And is that why you're wearing? Is that why you like to wear the wind pants on game day? Just as kind of an act of rebellion against the khakis and slacks that you had to wear early in your coaching career?
No.
Got to be comfortable.
No, because the first game I coached as a head coach, it was it was rainy, and I put them on and we won.
Oh, okay. So that's the only reason why you're still wearing the same.
No, there's another reason is that, right, so this is a little bit longer, right? I want everything we do. I want practice to be as close to simulating a game as possible. Right? You want to shrink that gap between practice and games. Right? So I just thought about it. I'm like, well, then I should just wear in game day what I wear in practice. Because I'm definitely not going to wear in practice what I was supposed to wear in game day. So I just wore my practice clothes to games. And so the players look at me, they see it the same both times.
Okay. I'm fascinated. I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Also, it's really easy to pick out what you need to wear for practice every day and for game day.
It's really not, man.
For the efficiency's sake of it.
Yeah, I mean Danielle and Harper. They pick my clothes out every morning. Mm-hmm. I can't go through that. I'll have a nervous breakdown in my closet trying to pick out what's hoodie and jeans to put on. So they help me with that big time. Thank you, Danielle.
This fashion report has been brought to you by head coach Brent Key.
Love you, Harper.
I like that. I tell you what, the short sleeve hooded sweatshirt has certainly become a fashion statement around Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field. Make sure you wear your white and gold as the Jackets take on the Syracuse Orange. I know you want to talk more about the 2025 edition of Syracuse, and it did come in a loss last week to Pittsburgh, but still, that Orange defense dialed up the pressure. They got 7 sacks, 13 TFLs against Pitt. What were they doing differently to be so disruptive that you'll need to be mindful of on Saturday?
Man, I was just about to say they were disruptive, but you said it. So
I'll have to go to the source and find a different word there.
No, they did a lot of things. They play a lot of fronts, play different combinations of coverages on the back end, and to decipher through those fronts, all right, that's not an easy thing to do. All right, they'll play 3 down, they play overloads, shift fronts, they'll play 4 down. I mean, bear fronts, gap 8, you name it, they're going to play them and they move guys, and they're trying to cause confusion. And when you do it with pretty good players, it's going to be boom or bust a lot of times.
The just multiplicity of looks that they throw it in offense, do they resemble any team you faced in that respect?
Did you say offensively?
No, defensively. Just the different fronts and coverages that they'll show and try to keep an offense off balance.
No, I mean it seems like everybody we plays all multiple fronts and stuff. But then half the teams we go out and we get in the game, and it's not even what we practiced or what they've shown on tape one time all season. So
yeah,
and really that just goes back to the thing we talk about all the time is you're only as good as your base offense, your base defense, and your base kicking game. It has nothing to do with all these cute schemed plays that take place, and they play this and we need to do this. Well, what if they don't play that way? I can't stand when somebody says to a scout team player, well, they don't do that. How do you know what they're going to do? You still got to block them.
Yeah.
So, but they have multitude of fronts. Last year when we played them, they came out in a totally different package that it takes time, but we've obviously seen that now, but so we're not sure what they'll come out with. They come out with anything.
So one of the best safeguards is being to execute your base calls, and then also it's incumbent on defensive players, to make sure they can make those adjustments on the fly and process what the coaches are telling you. It's easy to take consistency for granted sometimes, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Kyle Eford in the day he had versus Duke. Leads the team in tackles once again. Just every time you look at the box score, Kyle's got his ritual 7, 8, 9 tackles. That was the case versus Duke. What did Kyle do particularly well against Duke?
Well, you just said he tackled.
Didn't lose anybody.
Nah, just the motor he plays with. So if you were to run a 40, Kyle was probably not the fastest in a 40 on the defense. Week in and week out, when we check the GPS numbers on Sunday, he is, if not the top, he's the second from the top fastest guy on defense every single week. And you see him. I mean, he's blowing past other guys. Just the relentless effort that he plays with and the strain. And when you play that way, right, you can overcome a lot of different things, and you can become an eraser. And he's always going to find his way around the ball. We got things we got to clean up at that position, and things we got to improve on this week. And I think we have over the course of practice this week. But it's fun to watch Kyle. It's even more fun to watch him on the side. Now, he tackled somebody on Saturday. I don't know who it was. All right, and they came to that sideline. They wiped my butt out. 25 years, first time I've been wiped out on the sideline.
Really?
I jumped up like a champ, though. I was all right.
Still got that quick twitch.
Oh, it's quick twitch, but my knee is my leg's still swollen. So I got battle scars too.
You're probable on the injury report though for Saturday.
I'm full go, baby.
I'm
full go.
Not even probable.
I don't miss.
I like Kyle too because he's also the most football-looking football player I think that has ever taken the field.
Well, I know what it feels like to be tackled by him because I was. And then of course he jumps up and I see his face. It's painted. I'm like, oh, you are kind of scary looking.
Did he apologize to you? Or
he did. That's the thing.
Really?
Like, Kyle's like the most hardcore, and he sees it's me. He goes, "Oh, coach!" I say, "Get your butt back out there."
So, but really, what you're telling me is that we need to give Kyle one more tackle to his tally on Saturday, and that would be a tackle of you.
And an assist, maybe.
Okay, half tackle. We can make that work.
We're spiraling out of control right now.
Well, you know what? It's that time of the hour. That's why you got to tune in for all 60 minutes, because once that thing starts steering off the skids, that's some of our best radio.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
They should do like outtakes of that. How about the building? I just read that it's going to be topped out here in the next couple of weeks.
Ah, yeah. The object of your fascination there. What, 68 stories?
I can't remember.
Tallest building in Atlanta, but the architect, lead architect, Georgia Tech grad?
It's the tallest one built since 1992. I'm sure Tom could say that, but
Beautiful sunset, though. Great skyline, and we look
Isn't that
forward
beautiful?
to seeing. Oh, it's unbelievable. Gotta love Atlanta.
Gotta love
being
Atlanta.
at Georgia Tech, don't you?
Gotta love
and gotta love being at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field on Saturday. That's where we'll find you. 12 o'clock, Georgia Tech versus the Syracuse Orange. We got to hit our final timeout here. Boy, cannot dial up any better weather on this Thursday night. Not only tonight, all season long. And you guys have once again understood the assignment, packing up the rooftop here at New Realm Brewing on the east side belt line of Atlanta. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. We'll hit our final break. Wrap up the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai, after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
This is the Coach Brent Key Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.
Well, we are trending toward a sellout Saturday at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field. So if you haven't yet gotten your tickets for homecoming, make sure you jump on that. Get that white and gold in. Keep the orange out. And we'll see if Georgia Tech can earn a 10th straight win at Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field as they battle the Syracuse Orange. Tommy's Leather at 12 on Saturday. Last few minutes here of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai, alongside Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra, and Coach, you're facing a Syracuse team that had to make a QB change due to injury midway through the season. Steve Angeli was lost for the season in the fourth quarter of their win at Clemson. Ricky Collins, the LSU transfer, has taken over. I know his touchdown-to-interception ratio is not what he wants it to be, or Fran Brown for that matter, but this is still a Syracuse team that's averaging 294 passing yards per game. How have you seen their offense evolve a bit, maybe, once Ricky Collins has taken over as starting quarterback?
Yeah, well, they want to throw the football. They want to throw it around, but what they've taken some pressure off of him, and they're trying to run the ball more. They're having some success doing it, just so he doesn't have to. They don't have to put everything on him. But look, they were smart. They went out and they got a good quarterback. But they also got an insurance policy and invested in the insurance policy as well. And when a guy goes down, to have a capable backup is huge.
He was the presumptive starter in the spring, and then they signed Steve Angeli out of Notre Dame over the summer. He won that preseason quarterback competition. You really like their running backs, and your expectation is they're going to be more deliberate and go into Yassine Willis and some of the other guys, Nixon, in that backfield. How do they like to set up their running game?
Yeah, well, look, the run game has the RPOs and the add-ons on it as well, based on leverage and based on matchups. But and the receivers on the outside are really good players. They are really good players. So when you have to guard those guys, right, you're obviously going to take somebody out of the box and or end up in a one-on-one. But they play a lot of personnel groups. They'll play 2 tights, 3 tights, 4 tights. I mean, they want to get big and be able to extend those gaps out and widen it. So we've got to be sharp on our matches and be able to match the personnel and not have any self-defeating errors when it comes to that.
Tempo, are they variable? Are they a little quicker than the typical team you faced this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to prepare every week to play against tempo and play against. To me, though, tempo doesn't mean go fast, right? Tempo is the ability to be able to change tempos, right? Whether you start in a huddle and you break the huddle and snap it right away. You break the huddle, and snap it with 4 seconds left, or you play with sonic tempo or fastball tempo, and you're snapping it with 34 seconds on the clock. That's what we take a lot of pride in, is being able to do all those things. So that's how you keep defenses on their toes.
Like we said, we are nearing a sellout for Saturday. There's a great crowd of Georgia Tech fans at Wallace Wade Stadium. If you're one of the folks that joined us in Durham, thank you so much. We felt you. We heard you.
That was
last
awesome.
Saturday.
That was so cool. Like, I think it was our trainer, Brad, said that he was in the tent, in the medical tent, and he heard a loud roar. He's like, "Oh gosh, what did they do? What did we not do well?" And it was our people.
How about that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Final keys to a successful Saturday against Syracuse and an 8-0 record, Coach.
1 point more than them.
That's all it takes. However it comes.
Yeah.
1 point still works.
It does.
And we'll see if Georgia Tech can continue its best start in the early 60 years. Now we will wrap up this edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show. Make sure to stick around. The Good Word with Chris Mooneyham. Justin Hanover follows us here from New Realm Brewing on the east side belt line of Atlanta. Brent, we certainly appreciate that. We will talk to you again on Saturday. Thanks so much.
Thanks. I appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate you guys. Go Jackets.
He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Demetra. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. This is the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network.